Hey guys, welcome back to the Tone Show. Today we're doing a little bit casual around here. I just received my Ghostbusters combo Blu-ray, and I said, you know what? It's a great time to talk about Ghostbusters, share with you guys which are my favorite Ghostbusters movies, which are my least favorite Ghostbusters movie, and go from worst to best or least to favorite. So if you're not into Ghostbusters, skip this video, come back, and I'll have something different for you later on. If you're into Ghostbusters, geek out with me a little. And this is the combo, so inside you get the little digital slip. Oh, no booklet. You see that? No booklet. Man, they're getting really cheap with these. They could have just slid in a little booklet or something. Or I guess you got to pay more if you want the special, like, the special features. The two new movies that came out, Frozen Empire and Afterlife, I'm just happy that they're bringing back life into the franchise. Like, I've been a Ghostbusters fan since I was a little kid. I grew up with the Ghostbusters. So I was just happy, period, to have new Ghostbusters movie. If I had to tell you from worst to best, which is like the worst Ghostbusters movie so far. So we're going to talk about the 4 Ghostbusters movies which are canon. So as far as that, I would say that my least favorite movie out of the 4 has to be, the drum roll please, Ghostbusters Afterlife. Yes, believe it or not, I know Ghostbusters Afterlife, if you go online, it has a better Rotten Tomatoes score. Maybe I'll throw that up here somewhere. And I think people enjoyed that movie more than Ghostbusters Frozen Empire. But for me personally, I thought that was my least favorite. And there are a couple of reasons. One, they moved the story outside of New York. And I really think, being a New York City kid, like, I love the fact that Ghostbusters took place at home. Like, I could go by the places. You could see the firehouse. You could see the National Museum of the American Indian. Like, you saw the subway. You saw ghosts in cabs. So there's something really New York about Ghostbusters. And I feel like it's about the essence of the movie. When I found out that Afterlife was happening, but don't get me wrong, I was just happy to have the franchise back, honestly. To have a movie that connected to the canon, that continued the story that I grew up with. That's what I was happy. Continued those original movies. So I'm happy about Ghostbusters Afterlife. I still feel like I connect the least with that movie. And I thought it was kind of a risky take to move it away from the Ghostbusters business. Another part that I feel like is so much about the Ghostbusters is Ghostbusters as a place of employment, like a small business. Like Ghostbusters, when I think Ghostbusters, I think a small business. Part of it, I think the ethos of Ghostbusters is about, starting out of yourself. It's like capitalism in a way. So start, going out there, pulling yourself up by your bootstraps, like in a real way. I thought that was really part of it. So the fact that it was about a family and they moved it away from the business, but it's great that it's a family movie now, but they moved away from I feel like the core of it. I don't know, that's why it's my least favorite. I guess I gotta say that moving up the chain, my next favorite one is Ghostbusters Frozen Empire. And I know it's gee golly, you grew up with the first movies, how can those not be your favorite? Wow, this won't even come out. They're like, this one is tough to get out there. Anyway, Ghostbusters Frozen Empire right there, like that. And you get a shot of that. Is that focusing? I don't even know. But yeah, it's my I would say it has to be my third favorite movie out of all 4. Kind of like reverse of the reasons that I just gave for Ghostbusters Afterlife, because with Ghostbusters Frozen Empire, they brought it back to New York. Like, I really enjoy that opening scene with the Spanglers and they're chasing that sewer dragon. Like, it was right back to New York City. Like, I literally walk by that part by City Hall downtown where they crashed into those city bikes. For some reason, they didn't use actual city bikes. Like, those bikes were in blue like city bike, but I don't know if it was a licensing deal. But yeah, Ghostbusters Frozen Empire, I feel like bringing it back to New York City, they got some points. I just feel like that movie, they brought back the original cast. They were actually much more there. Than the last movie before that, in Afterlife, they just showed up at the end. And they tried to pay homage, and you can see it. There was homage all over the movie and trying to get the original flavor in there. And I appreciate that from a fan. I really do. And if Disney Star Wars understood that, you gotta kiss up to the people who've been paying the bills, who've been appreciating you and keeping you alive. Yes, I appreciate that they appreciate us, the fans. And I feel like Ghostbusters Frozen Empire brought it back to New York. It brought it back to us. The family's trying to run a business now. And I thought that was right, hitting it on the head, like bringing it back further into the Ghostbusters lane. They're trying to run a small business. It's tough. It's hard to make it here in New York. Like, I feel like all those things were covered in Frozen Empire. Now, were there faults? Of course there were problems. The cast was too damn big. Like, it was a huge cast. It was so hard. I would have loved it was just the original cast and the Spanglers. Like, that was enough for me. but they introduced even more people. So you spent a lot of time with a lot of different, and now there was a ghost, and she has her own her own role, and she talks. So you had to split your attention in this one. So I feel like they probably should have focused in more on the Spanglers and the original Ghostbusters, but the cast was huge. I feel like that was a negative. We didn't spend enough time with the people that we enjoy the most from the original movies, in my opinion. And the second thing about it is like I'm not gonna say that Gozer was like super developed as a villain, but like the villain didn't really do enough to make it feel like, wow, this villain is so fierce, so fierce. Like it froze New York City as a whole, but I feel like they could have developed the villain more. Why did the villain have to get his horns back if taking the horns off the villain's head wasn't like part of defeating the villain? And if you're here, I'm sorry, spoilers, spoilers, right? How can you be a Ghostbusters fan and watch this video and enjoy this if you haven't seen the movie? How come? But anyway, the fact that they didn't have to take the horns and chop the horns off, like I thought that was kind of weird. Like why make it, bring that up? The horns were removed to depower it, and then the horns weren't had to be removed at the end. Like that was something that didn't kind of add up to me. I feel like the villain should have gotten more time to develop further and be scarier. I like the fact that we got the original cast back. I like that we got to see where they've been and what they've been doing since. I know that they could have done that from the beginning. They could have introduced them more, but hey, they did it eventually, right? They got there. So I would even feel comfortable in the next movie they just hand it off complete to the Spanglers now. I really do. And I feel like that's me as a fan coming a long way to say that I've reached the point where I'm like, okay, I can move on from the original team. So I don't know how you guys feel. Do you feel the same? Put it in the comments. But I feel like if the next movie is just the Spanglers, I think I'm okay with that. Like I think it's time to move on. I'm 44. I've been with Ghostbusters ever since I can remember. So I think I'm okay if the Spanglers take it from here. I wouldn't even be mad if they waited 4 years. They do a time jump, and it's the youngest Spangler kids, and they're the ones running the business. A Gen Z business, right? Are they Gen Z? Yeah, they're Gen Z. A Gen Z Ghostbusters business. So yeah, so my least favorite would have to be Ghostbusters Afterlife, but then Frozen Empire is number 3. Now, which is my second favorite Ghostbusters movie? Wow. So I have the original DVD set here. I really like this, by the way, like the how it reflects, that's pretty cool. And watching it on DVD is pretty, I don't know, like the quality, it just feels like I'm watching an 80s movie. And I really enjoy that. And both DVDs are like this. Which is my second favorite Ghostbusters movie? Ghostbusters 2. Come on. I'm sorry, this is probably very apparent, but Ghostbusters 2 is awesome. Like I really enjoy it. I really do enjoy it. And as a kid watching this, it was awesome. Watching the Statue of Liberty just walk down there and like bam, and higher. That's in my soul right there. I thought that Vigo was so scary as a kid, and now it's like I look at it, I'm like, he was kind of like a corny. All the Ghostbusters villain, come on, they're not really well developed. I gotta say that it's not really about the villains. It's really about the team, I would say, and how they get together. And again, small business, New York City. Some guys is giving it a go and busting ghosts, and there was comedy there, and there was some adult comedy in there. Like watching it back, like there's some things that I'm like I said, like I kind of like say, wow, as a kid, this is what I was watching. But yeah, Ghostbusters 2 is amazing. I really do. So it is my second favorite Ghostbusters movie. I know a lot of people don't enjoy this one as much as the first. Critically, it wasn't loved as much as the first either. But to me, it's awesome. I feel like it really has the spirit of the first movie still. And I enjoy watching it. I still enjoy watching it to this day. The fact that the Ghostbusters had these new packs with the slime in them. As a kid, I wanted the slime pack backpack. That was awesome. So I like that you had that there was a variation of the proton pack. So Ghostbusters 2, I feel like really has the spirit of the first movie still, and I really enjoyed it. So of course that means that my favorite Ghostbusters movie is the original Ghostbusters DVD, first movie, of course, the original. And how could it not be? It started the franchise. If there's any of the movies that really like nail it on the head, what Ghostbusters is about, New York City, small business, funny jokes, but I was watching many documentaries about it, and they were saying that right now, like there's so much color science. Like you can basically color correct anything to make it look like anything. You can take a funny scene that you shoot and make it look very dramatic with a filter or a plug-in, or if you have a LUT, you can just make anything look like anything. But back then, everything from a drama to a comedy, it was all the same, basically the same film. Like there wasn't this much color variance. So it looked like a serious movie, but with jokes. So it was weird because I feel like that's the thing that made Ghostbusters so interesting. It was like one of the first that I can recall, like comedies that was also like an action movie, that was also science fiction. It's so many things that they pioneered, I feel, here. And I'm sure there are other movies that have done it, but this movie, like, to me, is just so iconic. And I love the fact now that I look back and as an adult watching this movie, there's so many things like the scene with Dan Aykroyd. If I was monetized, I would be concerned about getting demonetized. But the scene with Dan Aykroyd where the ghost, in his bed, like there was so much stuff that I watched as a kid that I didn't get, and I watched that, I'm like, whoa, very serious stuff. Or the fact that I think today Bill Murray's character, Dr. Venkman, would get canceled. Because if you watch this movie, the way that he went after Sigourney Weaver's character and he refused like to leave her apartment, he literally stalked this woman, right? He invited himself over there on their false pretenses. Like, he would get canceled, like totally canceled. So the stuff that passed in the 80s was completely different. Back then it was just, I thought it was just funny. But now, like, watching as an adult, maybe my brain has been warped, but I see it so differently. But still enjoy this movie so much. It's definitely one of my favorite movies of all time. Like, and again, like, I don't think that we can recreate like the things today that happen here and they'd be okay. I feel like the proton packs, everything that Harold Ramis and Dan Aykroyd and Ivan Reitman with the Ghostbusters mythos and the lore, combination of like the different genres, like, come on, those suits, like those are one of the, anybody can see a Ghostbusters costume and anywhere, and you can see Ecto-1 anywhere in the world and it's Ecto-1. Like, there's so many things that are so iconic movie. By the way, the DVD has special features and everything. The Blu-ray not so much. Things are getting tough out there in physical media. But yeah, what are your favorite Ghostbusters movie, like in order? Like, are you also like me, like you go basically chronological almost, and then when you get to Frozen Empire, Afterlife, you say, well, or you do, for you it's like actually just canon, like chronological order, that's how you like them. Like, how do you like them? What's your favorite order? Put it in the comments. Thanks for geeking out with me a little bit about Ghostbusters, and I'll be back with another video later on. As always, this is the Tone Show. Ah.